are live. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what this place is. You know what we do. I'm once again here with Tuck. If you didn't see the title tonight, well, I'll go with the title of the show to begin with. It's called Teeth, Voids, and the Waiting Room at the End of History. I, I was proud of that one. But we're basically covering were dinosaurs demons, the moon is hollow, and some new stuff about the Denver airport. And of course, general conversation. You know, there's some of you guys that like to come for, and of course, car alarms or something.
No, that's an ambulance.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, right next to a hospital.
You know that's something you never want to hear. You never want to hear an ambulance. I mean, you always get a kind of like a. Well, I mean, me anyway. I mean, you get a weird pit in your stomach. You don't want to think about it. I mean, there's my audio mixer. All right, there we go. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. So far, Barto's here. Our normal should be rolling in here shortly. I think I made one of them mad the other night, but I think they'll get over it.
They'll come back.
Yeah. I've been online. There's someone had posted this thing about this volcano, this Mayan volcano that it shows a meteorite striking down behind it, and there's this other video going around, supposed to be from the same thing, and it shows this what they claim is a UFO flying up out of the back of it, like a light or something. Well, I went to go look at it. I thought, okay, hey, this is interesting, cool. And so I got to studying it, and I found the original live stream, and that little UFO thing doesn't exist in that. And it seems like real people, real scientists and stuff that's in the community. And I'm talking about Albie Loeb here so far. He's not admitting to the fact that this part of this video was hoaxed, and I don't know. I'm kind of seeing there's some when it comes to this whole UFO stuff now, it seems like there is they're trying to push a narrative for some reason. And I think they got it in their heads, if they can get enough people talking about it, and they have, that they will force the government to do whatever it is they want them to do. And to be honest with you, I don't see that happening. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's what I think they're trying to do, honestly. And I think they're trying to. Steven Spielberg, he's got that new movie coming out, Disclosure. And he was on a live podcast type thing. It was a set down, like when there's like 3 or 4 chairs there, and they're having interviews, people that was part of the group, kind of like what they do at Comic-Con. And he's talking about it, and they ask him, about, aliens and stuff, and if people seeing them, what, how it would affect the population. He said it would be horrible for the population, and I agree with him. Because like I said, now you got people that he said it was inevitable if it's really out there that eventually someone's going to leak it or show it or whatever. And there's a lot of people that believe that he is the one that's leaking this. I don't know if he is. I don't know all that stuff with the whole alien thing. I do know that a lot of it kind of seems fishy to me, especially with the releases and dumps. But I don't know. I will continue to watch it and give my 2 cents on it, of course. But there's some fishy shit going on when it comes to that. What else was on that topic? And I get we'll cover the Denver stuff. So anyway, my first question to you, Tuck, is: have you ever seen a dinosaur? And I'm not talking about your when you look in the mirror in the mornings.
Have I ever seen a dinosaur?
Yeah,
No, I have not.
that's right.
Well, I mean, I've seen Meyer actually has some pictures of them, but I don't know if they're real.
Oh, now any kind of pictures like that. I mean, I've seen pictures. I used to share one around, and it was more of a joke type thing. It showed this T-Rex running with a bunch of jeeps and stuff, and we're claiming it was during World War II, and it's carrying
No,
like.
this is on different planets, not on our planet.
Well, I don't know about that now. I don't. I couldn't.
This is what brought me to the conclusion that humans are the final stage of evolution for a planet.
Well, I mean, I got this weird theory in my head. I got a lot of weird theories in my head, and I was wondering, just the way things are written, I think they talk about things. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it. Like I said, have you ever seen a dinosaur? And the thing that people are going to tell you is no, you haven't. Nobody has. The last person to see a dinosaur, and I use this word, person loosely, died approximately 66 million years ago. That is, unless you're time traveling. And did not, as far as we know, leave a written account of the experience. So what we have is bones assembled by humans in museums, which are government buildings. I'm just observing that. I'm not drawing a conclusion here. I'm not saying that the government is trying to mislead us about dinosaurs. I'm not saying that the general science world altogether is trying to mislead us about dinosaurs, but maybe they are. It would be very easy for them to do. Now, there is a theory, and when I say theory, I mean something that a number of people have thought really hard about on the internet over an insane amount of time. There is a theory that dinosaurs were not animals, not in the biological sense. They were, according to this theory, demons. You know how we know demons, or think of demons. Not metaphorical demons. Not they are so terrifying they seem demonic. Actual.
That's just messed up.
What?
Because everything always comes to demons, and it's Christianized.
Well, no,
I mean,
now we're
so
now. This is this. Yeah, it does. I mean, I get that. I mean, but I mean, we know you're falling in line with what the general consensus is, and when we use those terms like demons and angels and things like that, we use those. I mean, in my sense, I mean, I use those very loosely because, if they were referring to something, then they were referring to something that is within history. Now, if I go out my door and I see a T-Rex standing there, I'm gonna think it's a fucking demon, man. I mean, it's just gonna happen. Something that big and something that has that ability to I mean, that's how I would apply to it. Now, if I was back then, or if I was, in the time of the Bible and everything else, I mean, that's probably how I would describe these things if I saw them.
Well, the Loch Ness monster is, which is still floating around, is considered a dinosaur. It's one of the last remaining surviving ones.
For something that's been that big and been floating around, we sure still haven't got a good picture of it. And there's been a lot of people. I don't know. No, I mean, we have. There's a group of scientists and stuff. Ones that can't be controlled as far as I know by the government, and I don't see why they would, or why they would want to, and especially when it comes to this. But I mean that they've been over there and they run sonars, they run cameras. They're actually going back over to do another like mission thing, and I mean They spent a whole year over there just going up and down the nest, back and forth, doing scans and stuff. Now they saw something that might be Nessie, but there's some question of it. Now all the other pictures, there's some things that do seem peculiar. And maybe it is a dinosaur. I don't know. But like I said, this is just a theory. Um, and like I said, it does come back around to God and Christianity and stuff like that, sort of. You know, we're talking about beings outside the material order. And you got to keep in mind, we can also might be, when we say demonic, we might actually be talking about some form of alien creature that was put here. We need to figure out the order of life. Um, maybe that these things were either brought here or they were permitted. Now, when I use God, I'm using that loosely too. When they were permitted a temporary physical existence, by whatever this God is, as part of a testing program here on Earth, a kind of stress test for the Earth. Can the planet handle this? What happens if we put a 50-foot predator and give it virtually no natural enemies? How does the ecosystem respond? The answer apparently was badly since the extinction event. God looked at it and said, failed the test, reset, let's try something smaller. Let's try mammals. And here we are. The bones in this framework is not evidence of life. They are evidence of absence. They are residues left by an entity we're calling demonic at the moment and is recalled from the physical plane like an echo, like a shadow that stayed behind after the shadow caster left the room. Now you can go to any of these. You're up there. You're beside. That's Smithsonian. I task you with going in there right now. Well, you're not right now. Of course, you can do it right now. But sometime, and go in there and ask them, regardless of anything, and you'll see a dinosaur that's been put together there. If you question them on it and you hound them on it, they will tell you that they think that's how they look, not how they look. They don't know how these things are supposed to be put together. They just put them together the best way they knew how. There's some question in it. I mean, I for one like dinosaurs. Me and my son love dinosaurs. I mean, I run around the house and do the funny dinosaur sound, and he's been obsessed with people wearing those dinosaur costumes and part spray and behind. I'm sorry, somebody sent me a message. Of course they did. Everyone sends me messages when I'm online. And asked me if I posted something. He know very well I posted something. I'm gonna strangle him. Anyway, but anyway, like I said, now I want to be clear about this. About the intellectual traditions here, because I think it deserves respect. This is not simple creation. I can talk. As creationism, that you would say God created the dinosaurs and then killed them. This is saying that God deployed the dinosaurs as a supernatural instrument and then withheld them to serve their purpose. The for the whole cosmological claim or scheme or whatever that was going on. Surely before we got here, there had to have been tests or something to see if this planet was stable. If we're going on the alien theory, okay. I mean, they had to get the stuff going. I mean, there's just too many things that interfere with human life and how we develop, and were we put here as a whole organism? Did we evolve? I mean, there's just a lot of questions that just bothers everybody that even thinks about this, and there's no real answers. So you get stuff like this thrown at it, and it also explains something that has bothered people who study dinosaurs for a very long time, which is, why are the bones always incomplete? You never find a complete skeleton. You find 40% of a Triceratops, or a skull of a T-Rex, or 3/4 of a Brontosaurus, but you never find the whole thing. It's never everything. Now, you would think that if all of a sudden, the asteroid crashed and these dinosaurs died, or the other ones died, or whatever, and they died where they were standing in some places, that you would find all of the bones of the dinosaur in that area, not just half of them, or not just 50% of them, or whatever, or you would find these bones scattered over an area, and you would still be able to find them, but they never have. There's never been documented that they have found 100%, 90%, even, or 80. Now,
what about like animals that would eat them? Like dogs eat bones all the time.
well, I mean, if that, I mean, I can understand that early on when they die, but and there's other creatures that could have, but according to science, it says that an asteroid come and wiped out, the dinosaurs, and in some places closer to the where the asteroid come down, then those places would have been, they would have died immediately. And I mean, you can see that in some places. You can see that something happened, and you can see there was a lot of death. But and you would think that you would find these full, complete skeletons and things. That also brings up another story where I'm from here. Now, there's technically not supposed to be any like dinosaur bones or anything like that around here, but years and years and years ago, there was this country redneck guy that lived down a mountain, and he was out there working, and he took pictures and everything else. He claimed to have found a skeleton out there. Well, when the government got word of it, that he wouldn't talk anymore, and he claimed he didn't have the bones. There are some things that has happened that makes you really curious about the whole dinosaur record. Why would they want to cover up something like that? Why would they go out of their way to do certain things? I don't know. I'm not saying dinosaurs are not real. I'm saying they're definitely real, but we don't know what they look like. They don't know what they look like. And let's do that. Let's harp on that a little more. Some scientists say erosion or predators, like you're saying. The geological record is simply imperfect. Now, the people who believe that demons are of them, that they can't recall a demon completely. Sometimes, or some things always gets left behind, and it's messy. It's like moving out of an apartment, and you always forget something. In this case, the thing you forget is a femur, which is the size of a car. And like also brings us back around to, how do you misplace something that is supposed to be the size of a car? Some of these bones are huge, massive. So I don't know. I know that there's another strand of this theory, though, and this is where it gets into some deep material. That I guess you would say the good stuff. They say the demonic nature of dinosaurs explains why children are obsessed with them. Think about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Think about it. Why do 4-year-olds who cannot name the prime minister, who can't tie their own shoes, who have no executive function, and no concept of abstract causality, why do 4-year-olds
know the word pterodactyl. Why do they love these things so deeply, so immediately, so feverishly specifically? The theory says because children are closer to the spiritual membrane, and I believe they are. I don't know about this now, but I believe they are closer to being able to see stuff that we can't. They haven't fully laminated into the material world yet. Their connection to non-physical is still warm, and on the other side of that membrane, in spaces between physical order, the demons remember being here, and they are trying to be remembered back. They reach through into children via the uncanny magnetism of their fossilized remains. This is why the National History Museum always feels slightly wrong, like everyone is acting normal in a place that is not normal. Now, I'm not saying this is true, and I want to be clear about that. I actually, in some ways, thought this was funny. But it was worth discussing because there are people out there that believe it. And what I am saying is that it is a complete internal consistency that, well, I don't know how to say how this, that this was developed by rational thinking human beings in their spare time for free. There was no institutional funding, and that it explains several things that paleontology does not explain, including why the bones are incomplete, why children are transfixed on them, and why the National History Museum feels the way it does. I'd also note that the word dinosaur comes from the Greek dinos, meaning terrible or fearsome. And sauros comes from, or meaning lizard, or the terrible lizard, which is also a reasonable description of a demon. And the same way the Greeks would have labeled demons as dinosaurs, demons, you know. And now there is one more piece, and this is more of an unsettling piece. I think I'm not sure. We need to talk about birds. Modern science tells us, and I was shocked when I learned this. As an adult, as a person who has gone to school, modern science tells us that birds are dinosaurs. That's what I've always thought. I've seen where scientists have taken and made chickens grow teeth and eggs and do all kinds of weird stuff. Direct descendants, living dinosaurs. The pigeon outside your window is taxonomically correct as a dinosaur. So if dinosaurs were demons and birds are dinosaurs, then what are birds? You know,
Demon.
I'm not going to answer that tonight. I have to save something for the next show when I do it. But I will say that the next time a penguin looks at you differently, or a pigeon looks at you differently, and then you know that they do that, the head tilt, the very specific quality of intention. And the next time that happens, I want you to sit with it just for a moment. I want you to sit with the possibility that you were being observed by something that was never entirely from here. Possibly a demon. Birds are demons. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Anyway, I'm sure there's some people that won't, and and like I said, we're done with the dinosaur bit. But you get into something, and there's a lot of weird theories and manifestations of theories and stuff like that. I mean, you get into the whole religious crowd, and there's a growing number of religious people that are like anti-dinosaurs. And I mean, if you really want to screw with some people, go on Facebook and go look up what is it? Dinosaurs are not real. Any kind of religious concept when it comes to dinosaurs. There's a bunch of weird Facebook groups. I probably shouldn't name them online, but there's some funny stuff that goes on there. It's worth a laugh. You ain't missing much. The National History Museum is definitely a weird place. And I think you should go there. I mean, I really do, Tuck. I think you should go there. And to see how off it is. It feels weird, strange, unnatural. Like, I don't know if the word is like you don't belong, but it doesn't feel right in there. And I mean, I guess I get that feeling when I get that feeling when I go to a wax museum. I don't know about you, but I do.
I don't know. Wax museums are kind of cool, but yeah, they're a little unsettling.
But I mean, it kind of feels weird going into something like, here you have a species or whatever that lived that many millions of years ago, and this is what remains of them. And I wonder, if this is what people will be doing to us, looking at us like this, looking at, bits and pieces of our computers and our cars and, missing parts of our body and trying to put us together. God knows what they think we look like then. Some scientists 65,000 years from now have found a precise Furby or some kind of crap. I mean, it's just, I don't know. This feels weird. It feels icky. But the next topic, we actually talked about it a little bit. You said sounded interesting. And it's the moon is hollow. You remember us talking about the moon bit?
A little bit.
All right. But anyway, in 1969, NASA landed on the moon. You know this, or at least you've been told this. There are some people who believe the moon landing was fake. We're not talking about that much tonight. I'm sure it might come up at some point. But you have been told this many times, and let's assume for the purpose of this evening that it happened. Let's give them that at the moment. What happened next is less discussed. In 1969, after the astronauts departed, NASA did something called a seismic experiment. They left 2 instruments on the lunar surface designed to measure moonquakes. And then to test the instruments, they crashed the upper stage of the Apollo 12 lunar module into the moon, deliberately, to create an impact that could be measured. Well, the moon rung like a bell. This is not a metaphor. This is not a poetic description. This scientific instrument recorded a resonance pattern consisted with a hollow metallic sphere. The vibration continued for approximately 55 minutes. Of course, the moon's big. The NASA scientists said it rung like a bell. Their words, their instruments, their moon. A solid rocky body does not do that. A solid rocky body absorbs the impact and the signal decays in seconds. Rock does not ring. Rock thuds. The moon rang. Now, the hollow moon hypothesis is very old. Older than space travel, believe it or not. It was proposed by the Soviet scientist Valsin and another guy, I can't pronounce his name. We'll call him Alexander. In 1970, in a paper titled and I'm not inventing this at all. Is the moon a creation of alien intelligence? Now, this is something that popped out of the whatever. Anyway, it was
In what
published.
year?
This was in 1970.
70?
70.
Wow. Well, back then they still that was post Roswell, so.
Yeah. Now, see, this was done by the Soviets, and this was a scientific paper and everything else, and this was kind of rare for them. But anyway, it was published in something called the Sputnik magazine. This was basically the Reader's Digest of the Soviet Union. I think I have a few copies here. They argue that the moon's behavior, its anomalous density, its precise size relative to the sun, its impossible circular orbit, the fact that it's always present at the same face to the Earth, never rotating, it was inconsistent with a naturally formed body, its probability of all the parameters occurring by chance was, in their calculation, essentially zero. Their conclusion: the moon is an artificial construct, a ship, or a station, or something we don't have a word for, placed in orbit around the Earth deliberately by an intelligence we have never identified, for reasons we have not established. Now, I want to stay with the physics for a moment, because I think this is where it gets really strange. The moon is the most precise positioned object in the observable local environment. The ratio of the moon's diameter to the sun's diameter is almost equal to the ratio of their distances from Earth, which is why, from the surface of the Earth, the moon appears to be almost exactly the same size as the sun, which is why the total solar eclipse is possible. The moon covers the sun almost perfectly, almost exactly. The perfect disk of the moon fitting over a perfect disk of the sun from the perspective of this particular planet. The probability of that happening by chance, the number is small enough that it stops feeling like a number and starts feeling like a message. Now, the hollow moon theorists are split on what's inside of the moon. Some say it's empty, a dead ship, derelict, crew long gone, or transformed beyond recognition, a monument to something that no longer exists. Some say it's occupied. That's what we called the dark side of the moon, the side that never faces us, the side we did not see until a spacecraft photographed it in 1959. That's the dark side. The dark side is where they live, wherever they are, whatever they are, or have been doing, for however long they've been there, watching this planet run through its cycles, continents moving, species rising, being replaced, one particular species of anxious mammal eventually pointing rockets at them and walking around their outer surfaces for a few hours and then going home and not coming back. Some say it's a receiver, that it was placed here not to be inhabited, but to transmit. That the moon's strange properties, the Bell resonance, the orbital position, the tidal relation with the Earth, and the properties of it being a tuned instrument, that something is broadcasting from it. Although, it at the frequency we have been unable to isolate because we are inside the signal. There is a thought experiment I want to offer you. It's not originally mine. Believe it or not, I found it in the comment section. But I have been unable to stop thinking about it. The thought experiment is this. Imagine you are a very advanced intelligence who wants to observe a developing civilization over a long time scale. You need to place a monitoring station near a planet. How do you hide it?
You don't hide it.
You make it beautiful, so consistent, so woven into the fabric of the civilization's poetry and religion, the calendar system, and romantic symbolism that they will spend their entire history worshiping it instead of studying it. You make them love it so much to look at it clearly. You make it the thing they point at and say, that, my friends, is beauty. That is the face we will never fully see. And they wrote songs about it. Thousands of years of songs. And the light is reflecting from a star it does not own. And I find that not troubling. Exactly, I find it exact, like a theory that was designed specifically to fit the shape of the feeling you already had but couldn't name. The feeling of looking at the moon and finding it slightly too large, or slightly too present, or slightly too perfect. Slightly not willing to look at. But anyway, that's the hollow moon theory.
Meyer talks about, and science is just now starting to say that we used to have two moons at one point in time. And from what I understand is that our current moon was pulled into orbit by another asteroid. It could have been a ship from a different planet, but it was at least pulled in here by another asteroid. Now, Meyer has talked about the possibility of the moon being a moon base, but he's very cryptic about it. You'd probably have to look more into it. I think you would. I think you'd probably find that fascinating. But he has hinted at the possibility that that is happening. But I've never heard anything definitive. So, but I don't know. I think that it, it's probably part of another planet. What's that stuff that they have? What's the stuff that they make in Florida? It's the fort in St. Augustine's made of this stuff. It's like seashells. It takes a couple of years to be able to make it. It's like made out of seashells. It can absorb a cannonball and not damage the wall at all. I'm
You're not
wondering
talking
if
about
it's something
limestone.
like that.
No.
I mean, actually,
They're discovering now that there is quite a bit of iron or some other composite or metal there. The Earth has this
extended atmosphere.
and we have been off-gassing oxygen for a while. And
Even what?
off-gassing oxygen for a while, our atmosphere.
Okay.
I mean, we basically been leaking it. I don't know if that's a worry or concern, but it's been happening.
It should be.
And the moon has started to turn red in places. And the scientists believe, and I think it's one of the reasons why we want to go back, the scientists believe that the moon is literally starting to rust. Now, you rotate back to the religious side, there's stories about the moon turning, colors and things. And there's, a lot of people believe, tried to fit that in when they found out about it as a sign of the apocalypse. I don't know, but on some nights it is redder than it should be. And we are seeing the moon slightly change. Now, I know one of the other reasons they want to go up there, one of the unique reasons, which is really weird in a way. And the other reason why China wants to get up there is they found another version of hydrogen. Like, hydrogen has a bunch of different elements. I mean, and this version of hydrogen is so strong that, if they were to use it in the weapons, it would be much more damaging than anything we have. And they're finding these other strange and odd chemicals up there and makeups, and I don't know, the moon is a very weird place. Now, I don't know how accurate it is, but they're, like, when they come back, there was apparently a video that surfaced from a guy with a telescope. Now, it's usually a guy with a telescope. And it shows something either flying or running across one of the moon dunes. I don't know if that was accurate, but, there's a lot of people that keep their peepers on the moon at night. And there's a lot of strange stuff that comes from there. A lot of strange video, a lot of strange people seeing and claiming they see things crash into it at night, and they see things hover around it. And, you basically can't go a day or two without seeing somebody somewhere post something about seeing something in the night sky at the moon. And it does make me think, is the moon an active base? I mean, think about how massive or whatever it would be.
Well, I mean, it makes for a perfect satellite.
I mean, it could. Now, I mean, it makes me, I kind of like, fall back to our conversation, our show last night. We're, what was his name? Ross or Voss or whatever his name. When he was remote viewing, he was seeing all these alien bases. He was seeing all these alien bases around the Earth. I mean, around the Earth, and they're doing like monitoring stations and biological research and stuff like that. What if the moon is part of all that? I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? I mean, you have like some main ship up there that is, that brought all of them here. They set the things up, and that might be the big transmitter. Hell, I don't know.
From what I understand, the alien bases that are actually here are in places that man can't get to. At least current Earth technology won't let us get to. It's so remote. It's in places that have never been touched by man.
I mean, I know this is off, going off from the moon thing, but how do you feel about, like, exploring things that that people haven't been to yet, and like parts of the rainforest where they're finding more and more structures that seem to be lost to time, and should we as a race focus on things like that? Should we as a race focus on, like, the ocean and go deeper and try to figure out what's down there? You think?
We need to understand our environment and everything about it. That's what makes us human.
Well, I know, but I mean, people have been satisfied, it seems like. I mean, and the reason I say that is I'm sure some of us have not. I'm not, but people themselves seem to be satisfied with the fact that that these places are unexplored. I mean,
Well, because we're not in the age of exploration anymore. We've been told everything's been explored. There's a few remote places we can't get to, but we've explored everything. So they've already been told we explore, so they don't even think about it.
but I mean, the ocean is like right there. The ocean is closer to us than fucking space, and yet we want to go to space.
Because we feel we've discovered everything we can because, again, science told us we know everything.
Well, no, I mean, I can see that, I've heard that too. But it's just wild to me, man. It is. Like we want to we still have so much to discover and fix and do here, but yet we want to get off this planet so freaking bad. And
Hey, when you're a kid, you want to become an adult so
yeah,
bad,
so
and then
you
as soon
can
as you
move
become
away
an
from
adult,
home. Yeah.
and then as soon as you become an adult, you wish you were a kid again.
Well,
Grass is always greener on the other side.
maybe we're not adults yet. Um,
Yeah.
in
I,
in
I
the in
I
the
think that there's some truth that we have been restricted to this planet.
I mean, that's the way I've always thought. I always thought that this is a prison planet, and this is where we've been put because we were a war race, and I'll always believe that to some degree. That somewhere in history, some council of things put us here, and maybe they left things to watch us. Maybe there's probably animal species out there that are.
Did Did you ever finish the From the Stars to Mars?
I no, not all the way yet. I mean,
Okay, because
that's one of those nighttime books. If I'm awake, I'm trying to read, or nighttime things I try to read.
that's the main thing that whole story is about a warlike race that was created and dumped here.
I mean, that's. I mean, I actually I wrote some stuff about that. Stuff about that. And I mean, it just. And I mean, I don't. I don't know, man. It feels right. It feels like we were put here. You know, imagine, picture this: the universe is teeming with life, and we are how we are now. You know, wanting more, willing to destroy other places for it if we have to, and we are willing to use weapons that are would unleash hell on anything. And let's say we did that. Let's say we went after these groups and these people, and we had you know crazy war like what like Warhammer, the space thing. And we went in there and we did these things, and we did horrible things, destroyed planets and destroyed people, and culture, species, whatever.
Kind of
And
like Avatar.
yeah, and then all of a sudden we were punished, we were caught, and they trapped us here. And I don't remember who it is, but they believe that that they said that our species. They said that our species is our souls, our energy or whatever is recycled because this is a prison. Um,
I
oh
think
yeah,
Edgar Casey said that.
no. Well, he may have, but this come from the starts with a C. The Pope and him tried to burn him.
Conclave?
Yeah, no, not the conclave. Oh God, I can't.
Cardinals?
No,
Oh shit.
it's um.
See, as soon as I see it, I will know.
I mean, it's not been long ago I was talking with somebody about it, and they asked me to do a show on it, and because this goes into the uh,
some of the cooler stuff.
Well, while you're looking that up,
go ahead.
um, you were going on one path, but what the Mars to Stars was saying is that a race of people that took out their aggressive genes started getting attacked and couldn't defend themselves. So they created a race, or they created a human being that would have heightened aggression, but a shorter lifetime with intertwined diseases. so that it would ensure that it wouldn't live past 100 years, to kind of keep it under control until they were able to correct the genetic modification they made to themselves. And then when they wanted to destroy it, they went on the lam, and they ended up on this planet and intertwined with the locals here, to where that's why we went from having, 2 and 3 thousand year lifespans like what we see in the beginning of the Bible, to now people live 60, 70 years, is because of the cross pollination, and the whole planet got infected. And so that's what we're starting to learn genetically. It's part of including the lifespan. Meyer talks about it. He says it's kind of like there's something that drips from our brainstem that is essentially, it's like a sand timer. And if it's turned up, that shortens our lifespan. If it's turned down, it increases our lifespan.
Now they said that I mean, it's similar to what they were going with. I mean, the people that I was the religious group that I was talking about are called the Cathars. The Cathars, um, they were basically considered the original Catholics, but they looked at things a lot differently. They looked at the souls were recycled, and that basically this was we were put here. And I mean, they like all of the temples throughout Europe and everything else used to be Cathar temples, and then they took them and traded them out, and they rebuilt over them.
Wait, who are these? I've never heard of them.
Cathars.
Yeah, I've never heard of that sect.
Yeah, I mean they literally challenged the Catholic Church.
Really? So, like, where were they based out of? Were they still Roman?
No, no. Well, they were a French Christian sect that was persecuted and wiped out by. I mean, they supposedly go back. I mean, but they're the ones that supposedly held the Holy Grail.
Okay.
But all right, somebody bugging me again. I hate it when you get a bunch of messages during everything. Someone trying to sell me computers and a few other things. Now they actually, I mean, the Nazis were like obsessed with finding like the Holy Grail. They were even looking for Thor's hammer, and apparently this is what led them around to this. Um, and there's been and the Spear of Destiny was another one. No, they weren't part of the Jews. There's a whole interesting story about them. I knew I know of. I've spoken with him once. Well, I mean, I've met him once. I've spoken with him a few times, but he was the one that was like traveled and did the work and like followed the Grail legend and everything else. And he was really talkative about this stuff, but he was kind of like a really weird guy. And but he is the foremost in the field, and I think he's still alive. At least his daughter might be, but I don't know. They will go into this like crazy. But yeah, they think that we're like recycled things. Now, that being separate, now Scientology believes that there's an alien race that come here and they attach their souls to us and everything else, and I'm not a fan of the whole Scientology bullshit. So,
Scientology believes that?
yes, Scientology. I'm look it
That's
up and I'll read
crazy.
it. I'll read it word for word so I don't get it wrong. Cyan.
Because the Rothschilds really like the fucking Church of Scientology.
Yeah. They believe, like, you don't find out about this until you get higher up in there. Xenu. Xenu. Or MU. Yeah, Xenu. XENU.
Mm-hmm.
It is the figure. It is a figure in the Church of Scientology. It's incompetent upper level teachings where he appears and is materially named for the operational thetan level 3 OT3. Okay. He is a narrative that forms part of their space opera teachings about ancient extraterrestrial civilizations, catastrophic events from the distant past, and the effects on or continuing effects on the spiritually conditions of the human race. Now, how did they exactly say it? Okay, according to the account in the Scientology book and stuff, Xenus was a extraterrestrial ruler of a galactic confederation who, tens of millions of years ago, transported billions of beings to Earth and placed them around volcanoes, then killed them with a hydrogen bomb, and their disembodied spirits of the victims, called Theatans, are said to have become attached to the surviving bodies, us, and to continue spiritual and psychological difficulties in the present day.
Myers says something very close to that.
Well, I don't believe that part.
Well, no. He says it in a more logical sense. So, if you die here in the Western Hemisphere, you're gonna reincarnate in the Western Hemisphere. If you die in the Eastern Hemisphere, you're gonna reincarnate in the Eastern Hemisphere. You're gonna generally stay local. So if you die on this planet and you're from another planet, well, your spirit is gonna stay attached to this planet and it's gonna reincarnate on this planet. Your spirit may be further evolved than the local spirits, which makes you somebody like Elon Musk, but it's just, this is the the clusterfuck of a soup that happens when you start going interstellar.
Hmm. I don't know. How you feel? I don't know. That whole narrative just feels bad, and especially I don't know. I think Scientology for me has contaminated that narrative. I think maybe the Scientologist or L. Ron Hubbard kind of like borrowed it, um, a little
Probably.
bit, you know.
Dude, there's a lot of people that have borrowed. That picture that Mulder has up
I want to
in
believe.
his office.
Yeah, I want to believe.
Yeah, you know that UFO that picture is actually one of Billy Meyer's pictures.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. When I found out, I was like, really? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I see it. That's one of the beam ships. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, that's actually that's actually one of his pictures.
Hmm.
Yeah, he got famous here in the States in the 70s because he put a picture book out of all the UFOs.
I mean, when did that come about? When did that?
What?
I'll have
The
to look
picture
that.
book?
Yeah, the picture book. Or when did?
Late 70s because he started his mission in 78. 77 or 78. Just type up Billy Meyer picture book. Because when I started talking to my dad about it, he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember him. There was a picture book. It was a big thing." Because in the 70s, it was like a big fad. You had you had famous actors and actresses that would go over there and see him. One of them that's like really big into the UFO community. It wasn't Barbara Streisand. I think it might have been Barbara Streisand, but there was some some big actors, big name people that went there. Like he was a big fat in this late 70s, early 80s.
I'm still looking. I gotta pull up other things.
Yeah, there's a picture. Like if you go through some of his pictures and stuff, um, there's a picture of a cross in the sky when he's at one of these ashrams in India, and there's a lady that was there, and she's come out as a collaborating witness about certain things that would happen. And him and her have become friends now that they reconnected.
Okay, somebody found not very expensive.
And they said that the reason why they put that cross in there was to symbolize the second coming.
Yeah, you have contact from Pleiades, Volume 1. Yeah, spaceships from yeah, there it is. That's the picture from his poster.
Yep.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I'm looking up some more. I don't. There's look like there's another one there. Or yeah, they fly. I don't know. I mean that. I bet my grandma had all that stuff. I mean, I bet she had the majority of that stuff laying around the house. We used to have all kinds of crazy stuff like that, and it was. You imagine going into one of them old bookstores and it being full of paperbacks and books, and I mean, well, mine's kind of like that now, but I mean, her house was worse, and they were everywhere. You know what I mean? She had
Hmm.
all that stuff, and I lay money we had there somewhere, especially that being that old and being that popular at that time. I need to go to the bathroom and smoke. So
Okay,
we're gonna do our segue.
I will stay here and I will have a token of smoke myself
All right,
while you go have a smoke.
ladies and
All
gentlemen,
right.
taking our quick break. Tuck will entertain you. I'll be back.
Either that or I'll put you to sleep, one or the other. But anyways, so for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Friar Tuck. I actually have a channel over on you. I have my own channel. Just look me up by Friar Tuck. You'll find me. Um, anyways, I cover homeless, education, survival, and policy. Right now, I'm hitting home. You kind of heard us talk about it last night about the this Trump's executive order and the way that that policy is shaping the future of homelessness. It's getting scary. It's not just the homeless that are being affected; it's the poor too. So if you make less than 60, $70,000 a year, you're probably on the chopping block, and you're probably going to end up getting caught up in all this stuff. You know. Anyways, that's the drum that I'm beating right now over on my channel. I'm here in Washington D.C. for a little bit. Yeah, if you want to come check me out, me and my dog Sam. Sam hasn't been in my content a lot lately. She usually is, but yeah, she's a big part of the channel. So for the you always wonder, I hear a dog barking and stuff like that. You want to see the dog. I actually have some videos directly of her. If you look in my shorts feed, especially from my property in Arizona. Um, but yeah, my dog is she's kind of human to me. Like I give her the same rights as a human, within reason. I'm solely responsible for her. I can go to jail if she doesn't do something right. So, I mean, I got to have some, some control there. But for the most part, I give her the same rights as if she were a human. So some people don't understand that. They either let their pet do anything they want, or they overly control their pet. I don't let Sam do anything she wants. I kind of let her be. She gets to be who she wants to be up to a certain point, but there are certain rules and certain boundaries that she's got to stick to. But being a trail dog, it's much different, and being a road dog is much different than being a pet. Because a pet, they get to hang around all, and just kind of be a lump of fur on your floor. Sam, she carries her own food, she carries her own water. She makes her own money. She does everything. Like she has to pull her weight just as much as I pull my weight. So I make sure to make sure she's fed, make sure she gets everything. Well, she's got to play a part in that to kind of to help out. So that's the difference between a road dog or a working dog and a pet. So when you see somebody that is running around, they're a traveler like me, and you see that they have a dog, respect the fact that it's a working dog. Oh, I thought he came back. But anyways, that's all I really have to say for tonight. I like coming on here because I don't have to talk that much. When I'm on my channel, it's all I do is talk. So I like the fact that I don't have to talk that much and I get to participate. This is fun. So this is like my this is the fun thing that I do. Like I work my work is my channel and this is my fun thing. So um I like it that I don't have to talk a lot.
Uh,
What's up? All right, you back?
I am back. I haven't smoked.
Rescue me! Save me! Save me! These people, they're looking at me weird.
yeah, I know. I got cramped bellies or something. The show is moving along faster than I thought it would tonight. I think I need to start writing more, guys.
Oh, hey, let you know for something tomorrow. So tomorrow night, I'm gonna probably have to cut out a little bit early because I gotta get up at like 5 a.m., 4:45, because I'm gonna be consulting some students, from like I think they're Vanderbilt or something like that. They're
Vanderbilts.
Yeah, they're volunteering to do some of the stuff at the Great Walk that I'm doing. Well, uh, tomorrow it'll be next month, but in July. So they're helping with like the fundraising and all the other stuff. I got to tell you, with when it comes to not for profits, they spend so much time fundraising and then they spend so much money to raise the money that none of the money ever really makes it back because it's almost like it's almost like panhandling for at a larger scale. Because like if you watch people who panhandle, like people are like, oh, okay, I'm homeless, that must mean I panhandle, and they sit there and they fly a sign instead of actually trying to fix their situation. Um, uh, uh, they 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 become dependent on it. That they wake up every day and they would rather just sit there on a street corner and hold a fucking sign than actually do anything. Because what it does is it enables laziness in a lot of ways. Not even laziness, more like complacency. Like, hey, this is the easy way out. I don't really need. It's people that are willing to live off of less and stuff like that. I think that that not for profits are doing the same thing.
Well, I mean,
And
I've always considered them to be most non-for-profits or whatever to be some this type of commercial scam. I mean, to be honest with you,
money laundering,
money
yeah.
laundering, yeah. I mean, they smooth money around. Some parts
Well,
of it
for
might.
politicians.
Oh, well, yeah, for politicians and rich people. I mean, you remember back when, this is back when we was younger, and I'm sure the audience does too. That when you used to see those things on TV for 10 cents. You can feed
Oh
kids in
yeah.
Ethiopia.
Oh God, yeah.
Well,
Uh,
there was individuals that I knew and everything else. They did a bunch of like reports on that, and they did some investigate. This is back when like you had to go on the ground and do everything. Anyway, but the like the amount of food that actually reached them was minuscule, um, and people started catching on, and it was just ways for um, celebrities to like reinvent and endorse themselves and to make the world think that they're doing better things.
yeah, kind of like Save the World with fucking Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, same thing. They just trying to reinvent themselves and make themselves look better.
But I mean, for the most part, yeah, that's what those things are. I mean, I'm sure there are a few good ones out there, but still, this money gets stuck around, and I mean,
Well, they're spending so much. It's like a business that spends 80% of its revenue on fucking advertising. Only 20% of it makes it down to the people that it's supposed to, because all they're doing is we need more money, we need more money, we need more money, instead of learning how to deal with what they got and to be able to, acquire the dollar or acquire donations at a lower cost.
I mean, if you want to see how not-for-profits work, and I'm not saying this to offend anybody, but I want you to take a hard look at Black Lives Matters. Okay,
Oh
back
yeah.
back when all that stuff was going on, all these people were sending them money and everything else, and they were doing what you're supposed to, the not-for-profit and everything else. Well, the person that was running it was basically rewiring that money back around to her, and she was buying expensive cars and houses and stuff like that. And the money where the money was supposed to be going, and for whatever reasons, was not getting there.
Yeah, just her Black Life Matters.
Yeah, just her Black Lives Matter, and I mean, and that's always been the case of these things. And when you give money to an organization, when you're at Walmart, when they ask you to give them, send $1, do this or whatever, you probably should really think about it. Is that money really reaching, those kids with cancer, those kids that are hungry and everything else? So, just keep that in mind. I'm not saying not to help or donate or find a way to do it, but there's always ways to do it, and there's always ways to do it properly. But most of the money that we send to people who are in need don't get the help that we send. And that's because they're either over budget or they want to keep the money. And we're going to talk about something else that's over budget and that has recently been making the news again. And that is the Denver International Airport. Now, before we start, what do you know about the Denver International Airport?
I know that there's some sort of conspiracy about something underground there or something like that.
Yeah.
I've watched something on it.
I think everyone in the realm of conspiracy theories or realm of just what weird knows something about the Denver airport. There's murals in there, paintings, gargoyles, a thing that was made by the Freemasons that don't technically exist. There's tunnels and stories and things that go on for whatever, and they claim there's aliens down there.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get into it, but the manager or the whatever, that Denver International Airport has decided to open up some of the tunnels to the public. That's probably nothing that we haven't seen before. Doomsday tunnels. They claim they're going to open them up to the public and let them run around down there. But some of it, a lot of it is still off limits, but they sure took their time doing it. But anyway, we'll get into it.
Well, they had to clean it up and make it look nice. They're doing a PR to fucking tamp down because they're probably doing some sort of secret research program down there.
Well, I mean, for one, we can say it's a bunker. I mean, there's definitely a bunker down there. What is in that bunker and what's in the facility and stuff like that, I do not know. But there's a lot of weird stuff that comes with the airport.
Well, it's governed under a different jurisdiction. So here's the thing, like, okay, so the law of admiralty, are you familiar with the law of admiralty and common law and the distinctions between the two and like how they were used?
Yeah. I mean, well, kind of, but they actually changed the laws when it comes to the Denver International Airport. If you go there, there's a plaque on the floor, and the Freemasons, they found
In March 19th, 1994, they founded the New World Airport Commission. Yeah, this doesn't exist, and no one can find anything about it, and there's a plaque here dedicating to it, and it's for the Denver International Airport, and this is for the Grand Lodge of Colorado. They make the rules and laws when it comes to the international airport, of the Denver International Airport. They're the one, that airport commission is solely, effectively, just for that one spot in the world. And which is really weird. It doesn't abide by. They have their own police. They have their own little system. Some may even say they have their own little government in
Is
there.
it private or government? Who
It
built
was
it? Who paid
Freemason,
for it?
Freemason, so it's government. Oh, it's paid for by the government.
For sure.
Then it belongs to the government, and it's so then the thing is when they put it up, where they had to, when Congress or the actual law was written, the bill was written, there had to be some jurisdictional clause in there to be able to put that in, just like how
Uh,
the railroads have their own jurisdiction. If you didn't know that, when you go into a courthouse, that's a foreign jurisdiction.
No. Well, yeah, I know when you, according to the.
oh, speaking of which, you were talking about uh, the sovereign citizen and the free man movement and everything.
Oh,
Uh,
you listened to my live today?
well, no, no, this was. I'm going back on one of our earlier conversations.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I don't, because I don't think you heard this, that and it wasn't a piece of news that I was going to touch, and we're kind of like here with this now, so I must talk about it. One of the biggest sovereign citizen things, the guy was moving around a bunch of crypto. He had guns, money, drugs, everything like that. Um, he had this huge bunker out west, and it's like the government has now started taking down these people and these things because they went in there, they raided it. They closed down the whole city. I got video. It's crazy. It is wild. What they did, and this was one of the bigger sovereign citizen networks
Well,
that was out there, and it was one of the ones that was funding the organizations and the groups and the movements and stuff like that. But they were also doing a lot of bad shit too. So you know,
yeah. Um, okay, so I gotta point out because this is important in the free man movement. If you always hear me I call it free man. I might call it sovereign citizen just because people know that word more. But if people sit there and say they're in the sovereign citizen movement versus being in the free man movement, they're two totally different things. You cannot be both sovereign and a subject, which means that you're basically incompetent and you're running on ideology instead of facts and truth. Versus the free man movement, they understand that they're citizens of the soil and operate accordingly. So there is a difference in it, just kind of like the Church of Jesus Christ and then the Revised Church of Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, it still goes back to like the whole thing where they start lopping people into the same thing.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
well
yeah. I mean,
in
you
2000.
got when you was talking about we was talking about like the homeless population and them lopping all these individuals into like the same group and characterizations, and then you have like the Christians and you start lopping all of them in the same group, and you start having these organizations and these movements and these radicals and whatever they want to call them,
Well,
terrorists or whatever, and they're starting to lock them into the same movements. I don't know if they do that out of simplicity or
well,
they're just taking down people they want to take down.
Oh, hold on. There was two reasons why I got out of the free man movement and I went underground. I still retain my knowledge. I can still operate on my own, but I don't participate in that group anymore. There's two main reasons. In 2013, Obama labeled anybody that was a freeman as a paper terrorist, which meant that you could get sent to Gitmo if you start your litigation. So you got to be careful about the litigation that you put out because there were so many people that were fucking doing assertions of rights and affidavit of rights, which is fucking retarded if you actually know what you're actually doing. Um, yeah, and I mean it's a joke. That's why they were on TV and why the media fucking focused on them because they had to show the incompetency, not the people that knew what they were doing. And the thing is so many people started going after the police. So if you notice that the lights on cop cars have changed from red and blue to blue and white,
Yeah, yeah.
This is because of the free man movement. It falls under the color of law. There's actually a guy in the 70s who put a fucking lien on Reagan, almost cost him the presidency until he fucking Reagan fucking paid him off to to get his uh, to get the lien removed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to run for president. Because the thing is, the cop pulled him over for speeding and then got him for like no license plate, and everything else like that. Um, and the thing was is that the cop had the red and blue lights on, which red under color of law meant an emergency. And how is speeding an emergency? There's nobody's life in danger. Da da da. Da. So that's actually how he won the suit, was because it was under a false color of law. And so that's why you see now, and this happened because a lot of freemen started pushing back. This is why you see that. So those that are emergency vehicles will have the red light, but those that are not emergency vehicles will be the blue and whites.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I always thought there was something to do with the sound they made. I know there was some issue back then. I heard when they were talking about the sounds of the vehicles, police versus ambulances and stuff like that. And there's supposed to be some type of thing that was written up about that, but not in the way that you would think, but some type of like legal framework where it had to. I don't know.
Hey,
Um,
you know the freemen are responsible for getting Ireland out of its debt crisis.
no, I know. Oh well, speaking of Ireland, there's another issue now where all that stuff is going on in Ireland and the UK, where they have a lot of immigrants and stuff coming over. That there has been a resurgence in the what was it, the IRC and
IRC or IRA?
IRA, yeah, IRA. Sorry, I'm getting tired. But there's been a resurgence in the IRA. They have started making videos and going to social media and posting things they plan on doing, and they've already acted in some cases. Yeah, Ireland is on fire right now. Hampton
Well,
said that.
because Well, I actually had a guy who claimed to be one of the Scottish royalty, the McDougan family that was in exile, and he told me the true story of Bloody Mary. And basically, there was a friendship. They were united under a treaty, and Mary invited them all as friends, and then massacred them and took them over. That's part of, like, if you follow a lot of the fighting that happened between the Scottish and the British, it was because the Brit when Mary fucking decapitated and did a coup, betrayed all of her allies. She took it all over. So yeah, Ireland and Scotland are both gonna, now that they see that England is getting weak, they are going to reassert their freedom, because the crown stole that from them.
They definitely did something. That's for sure.
I mean, that's been a a huge issue, and there's been a lot of hate, resentment, and people that I know in Ireland, they said that you can't recognize Ireland now. I mean, not from the way things are, and they
Because
don't
all the
like it.
immigrants.
Yeah, and they do not like it, and it is pissing them off, and they are acting, and
Well, yeah,
yeah,
the thing is that they found out that the police were lying about some of these cases that were happening to women, where these bands of fucking Arabs and shit like that are going around and finding white girls and then gang rape,
oh yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you don't know what's going on in Ireland, just look it up. You'll see everything there. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's another hot mess.
Honestly, I sympathize with them. I do. The immigrants and everything else like that. Like, immigrants is part of what cost me my business to begin with, because there's so, like, in the state of Texas. Okay, you everybody goes, oh yeah, let's go to Texas, man. They're anti-immigrant, they're pro-Republican, they're pro-American. No, they're not. 25% of all businesses in the state of Texas are owned by undocumented, and they hang out in three main categories: cleaning, construction and landscaping. And so if you have a legitimate cleaning business, fuck that. They could do what you're doing at 15 bucks an hour and scraping by. They're doing it like 10 bucks an hour and you can't
You know,
compete.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and it's just the state of things. And they started driving trucks and don't have driver's license now, and you
Nobody
know,
speaks English here
yeah,
anymore.
no one
I
speaks
was
English
walking
here.
down the street and this girl, you could read her sign, you could tell she doesn't fucking speak English. A fucking foreigner here, fucking panhandling and saying, "Oh, me out of work." I'm like, "What the no, fuck you. Go back where you came from." You
Now, I
know,
mean,
yeah.
if I can drive around Virginia here, that's where I'm at, and I can probably go to your state or anybody else's state, and I can go around and. But there's one thing I noticed here, and it has changed over the past, I don't know, 6 years, and it is disturbing. It is deeply disturbing. And I'm not saying this, you know, I'm not being a racist. I'm not being anything like that. So don't throw it out there, and please don't clip me for it and put it out there. Um,
Oh, they will.
yeah. But here's the thing: every service station, every older service station, is owned by an immigrant. Every hotel is owned by an immigrant. And here in Virginia, most of them is Indian.
Yeah. To add insult to injury. So when I was in San Francisco, I rented a studio with two other people in it. So there's three of us living in a fucking studio. $600 a month, and this is in like 2007. Okay, that's how bad it was. But anyways, the guy that slept on the other side of the fucking room from me, he was a Polish immigrant on a green card, come here looking for a job, trying to get a new start on life. And he was telling me some of the things that they will say. So immigrants, they'll talk amongst each other and they'll say things that they won't say if they know Americans are around or can hear them. But they absolutely hate America. They hate America more than anything. But the only reason why they're here is for the fucking money. So they're here taking from us, bitching at us, and then we're the ones that are being shamed for the consequences of allowing people here not only that hate us, but are just here to rob us blind. So I mean, in some ways, like I could say I dislike Donald Trump, but there's some stuff he says. It's like it's totally true if you're the common man and you're really watching what's going on.
Well, I mean, you know, there used to be the thing we all called the American dream. And, you know, you used to, you know, there was people in America that wanted to own gas stations and hotels and stuff like that. And, I mean, I just watched it like they get bought up and they get sold out and they get owned. And I mean, here in my town is like one of them. It's one of the poorer places in Virginia, but I mean we're okay in some degree, I guess you would say. It's not like Ohio or anything, but it's still in between there. We do have a moderate crime rate, and this was considered the suicide capital of Virginia. Believe it or not, a lot of bodies in the river. um, but it was very American. Um, Everybody had their own way about them. Everybody stuck to themselves. Everybody did their thing, but you know, you had the gas station and lawnmower store, and they were run by Americans or descendants of immigrants, but they were still Americans. All the little stores were run by Americans. All of the big box store, I mean, the other stores, they were run by Americans. But now that's not the case. I mean, I can go to any number of these stores, they don't hire Americans to work in there. So I mean, you know the the shady gas station's the one that sells the crack stems and everything else. Those are the
Hmm.
ones. Those are the ones being run by the immigrants.
Well, dude, okay, so when I was in Cave Springs, I was on the Pinhoti. I had the opportunity to stay with one of the county board members who was in charge of bringing new industry into the city and into the county for Cave Springs. And he was an elected official, and Yeah, some of these officials, they don't get paid for it. I have respect for those. The ones that get paid for it, I hold them to a different standard. But he was telling me that, because we were talking about like how I hated doing business with Indians because they always try and rip you off and shit. And him and I got to talking, and he was telling me that that if you see an Indian with the last name of Patel, that means that they're sponsored. So essentially, over there, if you don't have a lot of money and you want to come to America, you have to essentially make a deal with the Indian wealth, one of the oligarchs, and they'll sponsor you. And when you come over, you will take on the last name Patel. That's how they know that you're part of that network, because that's how you get your loans, your money, your financing, all that other stuff. So you have oligarchs that are doing it, and these guys are, it's almost like a franchise, but they're just being sponsored, but they get to keep like 80-90% of the damn profit. And this is what a lot of these Indians. So if you ever go, hold on, if you ever go um uh, uh if you ever go through and you ask them what their last name is, or if you look at the business incorporated, it's by a Patel. So the Patel family is buying up everything.
Well, what is there? You know, there's a big YouTuber. His last name's Patel.
Yeah.
He's the one that owns the. I mean, that runs the cell phone thing. My son watches them all the time. I think it's
Hmm.
called Rarest Tech.
He's
But
under that same program.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they got money. I mean, you know, they got a lot of Indian money, and they reinvest in it wherever. And I mean, they keeping things going for themselves. You know.
Do you know what pissed Mao off? Do you know why Mao became Mao?
No.
Okay, I've read a lot. I've read a lot up on this, and I feel fairly confident to say I have a good idea. So, in I think it was like early 1920s, he started noticing like the Americans and the British and all the Europeans, they owned all the valuable assets of the country, because the dynasty had gotten into so much debt and, gunboat diplomacy, that they were subservient to all these interests, to where all of the country's wealth was going away. And then there was a massive collapse that was going on, and he was so pissed off that he created a that he created the Chinese Communist Party while he was in college, because the train system that he was writing was owned, I think, either by the Germans or the Americans. It might have been the French, and they were doing some sideways stuff. And it was like, well, no, this belongs to the people. This is ours. We paid for it. We built it. We get to write it. And it's like, well, no, the dynasty sold it to us, and so we've got the rights for it and stuff like that. And so that's what inspired Mao. If you look at what's going on here in America, that very same thing is going to be inspired.
Yeah, the
We've
same
sold off
sentiment.
all
Yeah.
of our important assets to every foreign nation, that we own nothing.
I mean, and those ideas and those ideologies rise from that belief and those feelings and stuff. And
Well, I agree. I'm right there with him. Like, when I read that, I'm like, okay, now I can at least respect Mao. He tried to do the best thing he could for his people, and he just thought a different way. He
yeah,
thought
and
communism was the way.
and it to them, I mean, it may have been the right way, but to us, it would be the right way. But I think the thing that we would create next would probably be a lot worse. Um,
Oh yeah, and
you
think
know,
about think about what if Hitler were able to rule the world.
yeah.
And you know Project Paperclip was our biggest blunder. It was the post World War, to, I think it was the oxygen being sucked out of the room, and America died
Well,
at that point.
living on Earth is a resource game, and eventually you will have to. Your group of people will have to take other resources, and I mean, that's what preppers worry about. That's what you know. Everyone like that. Like I said, the living on Earth is a resource game, and countries, if they're functional, moving forward, and they're not blowing each other up more than shooting rockets at each other, then they're going to take those resources, and that's the reason we have wars. And eventually, they have to at some point. One country will become more dominant than the others, and they will start taking the other countries. And
But that's
that's
the
what
problem.
happened with Rome. And that's what had to happen, and that's what's going to happen again. Um, we might be in that stage now where that's getting ready to happen. What if it's true what they say that we're running out of oil? What if it's true that what they're saying we're running out of these other things? You know, what if all of this stuff that's been going on is they're trying to figure out some way to fix this? You know,
And
you,
so blow the whole thing up.
yeah, they're just gonna blow it up.
Well,
Um,
I just, I don't know, I had a thought, I lost it. Hold on. So I think that, I don't know, it's just, I, this is just a clusterfuck. That's it. That's all.
it is, man. It is. It is. No joking about it. Um, off topic there.
Well,
I'm gonna get some coffee. I wonder what you said you go to Starbucks sometimes.
oh fuck that. Over fucking over roasted burnt beans.
I
If I can go
I
to a
know,
peach, I'll go to a peach before I'll
but
go to fucking Starbucks.
I like to buy the bulk coffee because it's cheaper. I can get more of it over um
Oh,
you know
you should Emporium Coffee. They're a local company out of Cincinnati. That is some of the best coffee you could get.
yeah, I can't get it bulk for the price I get it for. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, no, you'll get it bulk. You can get the beans. You can get it fucking wholesale from them.
we buy 20 pounds at a time.
Yeah,
No,
check them out and see. Check them out before you say no. But
no,
if you want really good coffee, I love Emporium Coffee. Whenever I'm in Cincinnati, that's my favorite place to hang out.
I got where I like what is it? Walla coffee.
Uh,
The gas station. What's it called?
Wawa.
Yeah, Wawa. Yeah, they had um they had I was able to get some bulk coffee from them. I got like 10 pounds from them, and I never had it before. And it's the coffee they use in the store. Literally from the store, and grind the beans up, use it, make it, everything else. And that's a pretty damn good coffee. I must admit, the coffee, whatever
Yeah,
coffee
Wawa's
they
got some
pick,
good coffee.
yeah, whatever coffee they pick is good.
You know
Um,
what though? If you want good instant coffee,
oh
Folgers
no,
is the way to
no,
go.
I can't. The only time I do instant coffee is when I'm in a situation like you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing instant coffee. Now, why do you think I stopped by? Dude, it's almost $5 for a fucking cup of
But
coffee.
I tell you,
But I remember what I was gonna say. This is the argument for a world government, not only for to be able to have a global resource management. We're all part of the same fucking family. We need to stop having this tribalism and realize that we're gonna have to work together because in order for us to become an interstellar planet, we're not going to be represented as the United States. We're going to be represented as the planet Earth. And so, in order to be represented as the planet Earth, we need a singular world government. It's necessary.
I mean, that would be the new world order, or whatever they call it.
No, it wouldn't be the New World Order. The New World Order, because we got a new World Order. The New World Order was the post Cold War. It was just a realignment of powers. Now we've got another realignment of powers. We're not talking about a realignment of powers. What we're talking about is to consolidate and have one central government. But the thing is corrupt organizations like the fucking UN and the WEF, nobody will ever trust it. We have to figure out a way to be able to have an integral system that respects the individual and the right of life and property and to some extent. But the thing is it's too corrupt. I mean, Kofi Annan's a perfect example.
I mean, the whole thing has to be torn down and rebuilt back up again. And I don't know if we'll make it from the rebuild part. I
Well,
mean,
Russia is supposed to be what influences the next governance, philosophical governance, and a lot of people. No, no, no. I disagree with you because a lot of what Vladimir Putin says is a lot of what Donald Trump says, which is America first. The big thing that Vladimir Putin has been saying is that that leaders need to stop worrying about the best interests of other people's countries and start worrying about the best interests of the people in their country,
if
and
they'll
the
actually
people need
do
to
that,
start doing that.
if
That
they'll,
is his main platform, and I totally agree with that
that is if
because
they
that's
do
the way
that.
Russia is operating, is in its own interest without meddling with other countries.
But Russia's not putting their own people first. They're putting their own ideologies and war first.
No, they're putting their safety and security. They don't want NATO on their front door. I mean, just like we don't want Russia and Cuba.
I mean, the way the old Soviet Union operated and the way Russia operates now is a lot different from the way that those ideologies run. And I mean, I think, I mean, I'm sure what they're saying is feels good and feels right and everything else. But I'm saying is the way it is being framed is wrong. And I mean, it will be a mistake to ever trust Russia. And the reason I say that now, this is there's I'm backing on that. My grandfather on my father's side, my grandfather on my father's side, he was the special attaché to the Soviet Union before the wall fell. He was there for 10 years, I think it was. His last name's Randall. You can go look him up. He was the Air Force, and he was the intermediary. He had to take and bring messages back from the Soviet Union to Washington. He lived in the Soviet Union and worked at the embassies and was in the Kremlin and all that stuff. He was there when Chernobyl blew up and everything else. And he said literally, he says, "Do not trust Russia." He said Russia is trying. Well, he said Soviet Union, Russia. He said he says they have the way they believe things. They believe, like a fairy book. They believe they've been told. When you grow up as a Russian child, you're told this story about how certain things will happen, and how Russia is this savior, and that all these things need to happen and become aligned, and that they will offer themselves and everything else. And literally everything that we see happening here, every country is following a story. And he said, he said, look for the story. He said, look for, it's there. And I mean, you can literally see Russia following one of the stories and one of the poems that they have told their children over and over again. And I mean, mind you, that's not just with Russia. That's other countries as well. They're always playing out these things, and the Orthodox religion plays a huge role in the way things are framed with Russia. And they believe that they're the ones. They believe that they're the ones that will save everything and do everything and everything else. But Russia, if Russia comes to power, if Russia is allowed to come to power and rule and be a part of the bigger thing, it'll be very bad for everybody. The same way with China, and the same way with America. Everything has to be a balance. If we don't have that balance, we're fucked, and more than we are now.
Okay, well, at least because I've been following Putin's for fucking what since like 2007. I've been following him with the New York Times interview. I got to watch the raw interview, and I was just so intrigued by him, and like
You should
it
watch the
was
new
completely
interview. Now,
contradictory.
I'm not. Well, I mean, of course, Putin wants you. Putin wrote his own his own version of history about Ukraine. I mean, literally, he took what we knew about Ukraine and what was in the history books, and he took. And this is before the war started. He'd done this to frame it, and he rewrote it like this is what was supposed to happen and everything else. And he literally rewrote it, and he did that for other cultures and other things like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's CIA. I mean not CIA. Whatever you call them over there.
KGB.
Yeah, KGB. But aside from that, Russia. I lost my train of thought. But he was he runs his groups and organizations like he's a mob boss, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that works, it works. But
Russians believe that they have to suffer in life.
Oh, they
If
do.
you're not
And,
suffering, you're not alive.
I mean that's one of their beliefs. That's what I'm saying is they have this thing written out how they have to do things, and they believe that they have to suffer. They believe they have to go through it, and that's a concern when it comes to them. But no, I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I was getting ready to say if you like the New York interview, you need to watch the interview that what's his name? He just had one with Putin.
I generally watch as many of his interviews that I can catch. I never got to see no, actually, no, I did see the full interview with Tucker Carlson. That was
Tucker Carlson. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, good.
And even like some of the stuff that was in the Tucker Carlson video was fluff. Like, I mean, this is coming from somebody that was told about it. I mean, like when Tucker Carlson was at the the grocery stores and doing that thing, it's saying about how cheap things were over here. Well, you're not accounting for other things. Like right now, and it's come out of Russia themselves. They said they have to do something, or they're going to go bankrupt. And they're being pushed to a point where they may actually act if they can in the nuclear sense, and it might be something we see. People need to get over the fact that we may enter into a limited nuclear war. We have wars every day. Somebody's going to hurt somebody.
Yeah, but you got to realize that at least since the 12th or 13th century, when the schism happened, that the Western world has been trying to conquer Russia at some point in time throughout the whole time. That is an alternate crusade that nobody really talks about. This whole thing of Russia right now.
I mean, do you know why? Do you know why Russia?
Catholic Church.
Do you know why Russia has not nuked Ukraine yet?
Because Vladimir Putin's being patient.
Huh?
Because Vladimir Putin's fucking being patient. He's trying not to stoop to the level of NATO. He's trying to grab moral ground.
Well, I mean, he might be trying to grab moral ground, but the thing is, if Russia nukes Ukraine or some other country, whatever, not a test or anything like that, but if they actually nuke a country, they will not be able to recover financially from it. The way the other countries would look on them, like when we nuked Japan, I mean, everyone looked down on us, and the only thing that saved us was
we were the reserve currency.
Right. That is the only thing that saved us. And if it was not the case, then America would not be here right now. And that is the fallacy. That is the great thorn of the nuclear umbrella. Anyone that nukes somebody else will need to have. There's no choice in the matter. They have to nuke them as a last resort. I mean, because if they do it willy-nilly, you can kiss that country goodbye. I mean, in the sense that all countries will cut off funding. All countries will just alienate them. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Hampton said we put Japs in a new in a new galaxy, and now they are no longer a threat. That is true. That is true. Like I said, but we had the means to do so. To
Well,
back it
we
up.
didn't have to. They were willing to. They were willing to do it, but Truman wanted to show. He was trying to be the next Andrew Jackson.
Well, I mean, it boils down to one thing. They touched
Teddy
our
Roosevelt.
boats. They touched our boats. You don't touch America's boats. If you touch America's boats, we're going to nuke you. Um, for some reason, that's the way they believe, and it is. But anyway, I think we actually burned through that hour almost. That's wild, man. We get on the conversation, we go. Denver International Airport opened in February 1995, 16 months behind schedule and $2 billion over budget. At the time, it was the largest airport in the United States by total area. It is located 25 miles outside of Denver. I hate Denver, by the way. Anyway, which is further from the city than any other major hub in America. There is no obvious geological reason to build that friggin' airport there, which is weird thing one, by the way. Before we discuss the theories, I need to describe the airport as it actually is, as of right now, because I think the actual airport, the public visibility, the photographs, basically the official airport, is one of the strangest buildings ever commissioned by a democratic government. The terminal is covered by a white fiberglass canopy designed to look like the peaks of the Rocky Mountain, or like a tent, or like teeth. 34 white peaks arranged in rows, visible from miles, rising out of the flat Colorado plains with no apparent precedent and no particular explanation. When you are approached by a caller in the dark from the distance, you see a white shape on the horizon that should not be there, and then your brain takes several seconds to categorize it. Inside the terminal, there is a 32-foot blue horse sculpture with glowing red eyes. It is reared up, and it killed its creator during the installation, by the way. A piece of the sculpture fell on the artist and severed an artery, and he died. The horse was completed by his family and installed it anyway. It is called the Blue Mustang, but everyone calls it Lucifer. Denver Airport commissioned this. Denver Airport approved the glowing red eyes before the artist died. The glowing red eyes was not added as a memorial. They were always plain. That was always the plan. Now let's talk about the morals. I need to spend some time on the morals here, because that's one of the bigger issues. In the main terminal, a Colorado artist named Leo painted two enormous murals. The first is titled "The Children of the World Dream of Peace." It depicts a weeping figure in a gas mask, dead children, burning forest, extinct animals in caskets, a large alien figure in military attire holding a large sword and what appears to be an AK-47, standing over cities of flames while mothers hold their dead children in the foreground. The second
No, I
moral.
think I know what this is.
Yeah. The second
No,
moral.
I think I know what this is.
What?
So, and I learned this from Meyer. Okay, post World War II, I think it was the Truman administration that actually commissioned this. Is that since we were going to go with the mutually assured destruction route, we figured that the United States would get hit first, and probably there's a possibility that we could be completely crippled. The White House, like it's just a full on, like, let's just say that there's a successful strike. Okay, it's an independent group within the U.S. Air Force. It's their sole commission to be a retaliatory force in the event that we do get nuked. And so these guys, there is once the first nuke hits the United States, there you can't stop them. They have to get up and they have to go and they have to respond no matter what. Um, Even without presidential directive, this is something that supersedes presidential directive. And I think this airport is where that group is housed and where all of that equipment is housed. And I think that might be really what's underneath.
The bunker. Okay. Okay. I mean, maybe, or maybe part of it.
Well,
I
no,
mean, it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger than you think. I mean, I can see that. I can see that. I can
the
buy that.
horse with the red eyes, and then the children of the earth, the way the mural was described, that would, if you're trying to market as that's where this is, yeah, that's to me, that's like that's it right there.
Okay. Let's talk about the second mural then, by the same artist. It shows children of the world working together to defeat the figure and build a utopia. The artist said it was about peace and the dangers of militaries. The Denver airport said, yes, fantastic. Put it in the airport. I mean, it's not the greatest thing. I mean, and everyone complains about it. In the airport, where people are already anxious, where people are already, by definition, in transit between places, between states, where the usual rules of civic life are suspended, and everyone has to surrender their shoes. Now we'll get to the underground. The Denver airport was built on top of an automated baggage system that was, by any measure, one of the most ambitious engineering projects of the late 20th century, and it failed completely. It was tested and found to shred luggage, so they said, misdirect bags, so they said, occasionally catch fire, so they said, and produce noises that the workers described as screaming. Let me rephrase it. Let me say that again. This baggage system that goes for miles and miles and miles, the workers said it produced noise that workers described as screaming. It was abandoned before the airport opened and replaced with a conventional system. What remains is an underground tunnel network of approximately 19 miles, purposely built, fully climate controlled, now officially used for luggage transport and utility access. The conspiracy theory is that this network, these 19 miles of underground passage beneath the Colorado plain, they're built during the construction project that ran unaccountable over time and over budget, is the location chosen without obvious geographical logic as the entrance to something much larger, an underground facility, a continuity of government site, a deep underground military base. In the terminology of the community, a DUM, the UMB, which I appreciate a not flattering acronym for something supposedly built by the most advanced civilization in history. Now, we get into something next that becomes generally interesting. However, Tuck, I know you have walked 19 miles. And can you imagine having to move luggage for 19 miles?
Dude, I used to do it as a transfer runner with a tug. I used to be the guy that would grab your bag and get it to a transfer point or have to run it to a plane so while it was waiting for the bag.
Well, I mean, I can, from there to there, but I'm talking about an underground network of
Yeah, you're gonna have tugs that's gonna get you around.
Yeah.
You're not something like that. They're not gonna make you walk. That's too slow.
Well, no. This
Fast.
is supposed to be, like I said, this was supposed to be the most advanced luggage system. What they did, they made 19 miles of these interconnected tunnels and pathways and stuff like that, and they had. You ever seen mail sorters? You know, like the machines.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, this is how this system was supposed to run, and it was supposed to be all underground, and it was high tech for the time, and it, it was an insane machine supposedly. But it had problems, or so they said. And you know, when they were building this, they built other things they weren't supposed to build, and they rebuilt other things, and they built other things on top of it. I mean, the history. I don't go into it all here, but the history is absurd when it comes to the building. The people who watched this and they talked about it, but yeah, I think you're right. This might actually be some kind of military thing. I mean, it is a military thing, but you know, maybe that thing. I never thought about that. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's just when you said the mural and the red-eyed horse, it was like, yeah, that would be if I was trying to mark an X. That's where I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of other things like gargoyles and other stuff up there. The whole place is freaky, man. And I mean, if you ask like the people that work there about it, I mean, they'll placate you. I mean, it's they don't care. But anyway, I said here's where it becomes generally interesting. If that wasn't interesting enough, and here is where I have to tell you about the last few years. In 2021, the Denver airport leaned into this. The airport installed a display in the main terminal that read, "Welcome to the Illuminati's headquarters." It installed a plaque that says the tunnels are used for lizard people storage. It created a fictional gargoyle character named Gargoyle Gary and offered conspiratorial fun facts. The travelers via interactive screens. It even installed these statues in the luggage areas, sitting in suitcases and on things.
So they commercialized it.
Yeah, it released marketing material. It asked,
That was smart.
is the Denver airport the most evil airport? I mean, there's literally pamphlets, brochures out there that say this on it. Is Denver airport the most evil airport?
Well, yeah, I mean, fuck, you're gonna make sure people come there just for tourist wise.
No, I guess. I mean, I can. I mean, I want to. I want to go back to it. I mean, but you know, it's.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see it. I
there
can
you
see
go.
it.
You got tourism.
Yeah.
How many airports can say, yeah, we got people come here just to check out our airport?
No, they can't. They can't. Well, some maybe, but not this one definitely. Yeah, but you know, this is their present marketing campaign. A piece of whimsy. The airport knows about its reputation and having fun with it. You know, basically what people say.
There it needs a mouse.
You have to wait.
Wait
Wait a minute. Here. You know how to look it up.
Thank
you. Okay.
you. Sweet boy. Oops, Mama dropped it.
I had to trade my mice out. I think he's on my alien wire in there. Let me offer you two frameworks for this so you can decide which is more paranoid. Framework 1. Denver Airport conducted a brilliant, self-aware marketing campaign that transformed the embarrassing reputation into a distinctive brand identity, generating media coverage, making the airport more memorable and even beloved. The joke at their own expense of conspiracy theorists who are shown to be harmless and silly. The airport wins, nobody's hiding anything, and it's always just a weird airport. Now, framework 2.
It becomes Roswell 2.0.
Yeah. Framework 2. Denver Airport, which has always had something to hide, looking at the situation and determined that the most effective way to neutralize sincere inquiries was to make the inquiry itself a joke, to preempt, to absorb, to diffuse suspicion by performing self-awareness about it, to say, yes, we, the evil airport, So the next time someone says, I think something is underneath Denver Airport, the response from everyone, from culture, from the airport's own gift shop is, yeah, lizard people. And the laugh track plays and the investigation ends. Now, I'm not saying there's something underneath Denver Airport. I'm saying if something were underneath Denver Airport, if you were the airport and the people kept asking about it, what would you do? You would do exactly what they did. You would make it funny. And you would make it a bit. You would put the gargoyle out there in a suitcase. You would sell fridge magnets. You would do the same thing that the Area 51 is doing right now. They're doing the same thing. You make, and then there's that person now, or who couldn't take the joke about the lizard people in the airport. And you make fun of them. Mockery is a remarkable effective suppression mechanism. It doesn't require force. It doesn't require legal action. It requires only that the culture agrees in advance on what counts as reasonable. Once that the agreement is in place, once that the thing has become the punchline, you can put whatever you like underneath it. There's a specific detail about the current situation at the Denver airport that I want to end this section with, because it happened recently. And it matters. And almost nobody covered it with seriousness it deserves. The Denver airport is currently undergoing a major construction project to expand its underground transit system. It's called the Great Hall Renovation. Billions of dollars. Tunnels are being extended. New sections of the facility are being built underneath the terminal. While this is happening, the Denver airport is running a marketing campaign about how much it loves being a conspiracy airport. Gargoyles everywhere. Merchandise, interactive experiences. They are expanding the underground while joking about the underground. That's the news. That's the update. They are digging, smiling, selling tote bags, and digging. Now, 3 things tonight. Bones of departed entities that children unexpectedly adore. A hollow metallic sphere positioned with impossible precision, broadcasting something or recording something at a frequency we can't hear. In a building full of violent murals and a horse that killed its maker, underneath which someone is currently digging and laughing and digging. I'm not asking you to believe any of it. I'm asking you to notice that we live inside a story, that somebody wrote it, that the characters in the story almost never know they're in one, that the characters who do not tend to be the ones considered eccentric, unreliable, a little bit much. I'm asking you to notice that the things we collectively agree not to take serious have a tendency to be the things that, if taken seriously, would require us to change how we understand something important. Demons left bones. The station is in the sky, and the airport is laughing. These are 3 facts. They are all equally verifiable. And I'm equally serious about all of them. And I don't know what to do with the, except stand here and say it out loud and see if you feel it too. That's it.
All right. Well, that was a good show, man.
It was okay. It was okay.
Just okay, huh?
Yep. It's all just okay.
It's all just okay. All right. Well, one day we'll have a phenomenal show then. But until then, I will talk with you tomorrow. Okay.
All right, man. Be good. Be careful. And guys, stay paranoid.